Top of the morning to you, or afternoon or evening, or whatever time period you might be watching this video. But an Irish hello to everyone. If you haven't guessed already, this is the Board Game Holiday Spotlight on St. Patrick's Day. My name is Anthony.
My name is Eric, and we are decked out in green today.
We are decked out in green. I got some orange going too.
That's true.
And we love to talk about random holidays, especially ones that you can decorate for or just wear a color for that makes you sort of festive that day is awesome. It's nice and easy.
and a great thing about St. Patrick's Day is that it has a whole lot of music for a soundtrack. There's a lot of Irish music you can listen to, and it's a great time to check it out.
That's true. A lot of cool channels. Also, speaking of the green stuff and wearing decked out, one of my, I guess, most solid memories of St. Patrick's Day as a kid was, first off, that you wore green to school that day, right? That was like the big thing. And, it was like, all right, I own green, sweatpants or whatever, whatnot. But Eric, I know you took this a little more seriously than I did for sure. Do you remember some of the get-ups maybe that you had as a child?
Get-ups? I can't think of anything in particular. I know I had this hat, real loud plastic material or something.
Yeah, that one that could break really easily if you squeeze hard enough.
And it was like a little top hat, and I remember I forgot it at home, and I went to school and I didn't have it, and I had to go to the nurse's office, and I had to call my parents, and they were like, "Oh, what's wrong?" Like, I need my hat. I forgot my hat. You could bring it to school, and I don't remember if they did or not, but they were like, "Get back to class."
What happened to my child? Nothing. He forgot his plastic hat.
Yep.
I thought, did you not ever dye your hair green?
I don't think so.
I seem to have a false memory of that then of you. Maybe that was somebody else.
I could have. If I did, it was for the day, and it was probably my parents were like, "Oh yeah, let's do this." I don't remember. I'm gonna have to find that. I have to find out.
Yeah, ask the parental units about that one, or maybe even your brother. But yeah, certainly one of those holidays on the calendar that is always something to look forward to if you have kids or you are a kid, especially in school. And I think back to like I said, being in school and going to school that day as a child, but as a teacher, I used to teach elementary school, second grade for many years, and there was one year where I just went all in on the whole leprechaun thing. So basically I designed a whole unit on designing traps for the leprechaun.
Nice.
It wasn't just like, I don't feel like talking to you, go do this activity. Like, this was like, I planned this stuff, right? And they brought in stuff from home. We talked about like levers and pulleys and balancing things and things like that. Because, a lot of the ideas were, I got this box that's going to fall on the leprechaun.
Right.
Which, is what I would have thought of too.
That's because it's from Looney Tunes.
Exactly. There you go. There's Bugs and Wile E. Coyote again, pulling that string.
Now, before you go on, I do want to point out that I buy, I love holidays, and St. Patrick's Day is a holiday that there's a lot of books about.
True.
Most of the kids' books that you will see about St. Patrick's Day are, in fact, about catching leprechauns.
Yeah.
There's at least 6 or 7 that I can think of off the top of my head. Anyway, continue.
Yeah, no, that's a cool mythology part of it. If you can get a little bit of a story involved, it's pretty cool. So, we went all in, like I said, and then, they're working in groups, designing the project or whatever. And then the one day when they were at lunch, and this was so much fun for me. As a teacher, this was an incredible stress relief. I basically trashed the room, right? Trashed your own room. I trashed the classroom. I got, I cut out a footprint, a leprechaun footprint. I dipped it in green paint, and I went nuts on the desks and the floor and the walls, everything. Like, I went to town. It was so much fun. It was to the point where it was so serious where, like, when I took them to lunch, I showed them me locking the door. I'm locking the door. No leprechaun's going to get in there yet, whatever. And so they came back from lunch, and their faces were amazing, man. Jaws dropped to the floor, and I reacted. It was my first time seeing it also. Oh, man, it was so fun.
That's awesome.
It was great. And then we're like, but you locked the door. You locked the door. I look at the window. The window's open a little bit. I put some footprints up to the window. Like, the window, no. It was great. So yeah, that's I had to share that story because that's the most recent memory I have of a St. Patrick's Day stuff. Is there anything you wanted to mention about the holiday before we get into some games?
Oh man! So when I was a kid and as an adult, still, I love green food coloring in almost all my foods. Typically, we're talking green pancakes. And then there's the corned beef and cabbage that you have at night, but you don't want to put green food coloring in that.
Green bagels.
Green bagels. I mean, I've made green milk, green eggs, green muffins, green, all type of green mac and cheese, like whatever you can get that you can add some food coloring to. We might have tried.
Yeah.
And eventually you're like, yeah, you know what? I can taste the food coloring now. It used to be, oh yeah, it doesn't matter because it tastes so good and it's green. But you start to notice the nuances of the
I think in
colors.
I think in the food items in particular, I think in a beverage it's a little less
Right.
like potent, like in a milk, like you said, or even a beer, which might as well throw it out there as a big part of the holiday as well.
Well, I tell you what. Speaking of milk and beer, when you go to drink milk and it's green, your brain tells you it's flavored with mint. It's not, and it's very disappointing.
That's a good point.
Let's talk about some games.
Let's talk about some games. All right. So, if you're not familiar with how we do things around these parts, we basically bring 2 games each to the table, chat a little bit about them. But there is usually an honorable mention. So, Eric, I know we have at least one, and that one would be the Smash Up. What's it called? Tricksters?
Tricksters. Yep. There's only a couple of cards that have like featured on them. The rest of the Tricksters are gnomes and maybe goblins. But they got leprechauns on there, so honorable mention.
There you go. With a game like Smash Up with so many factions, I'm shocked that it wasn't just a leprechaun one. Maybe they'll do it later. But all right, so on to the first game here. I'm bringing to the table also is an expansion to a base game, and that base game is Small World. The expansion is called Be Not Afraid, and it includes a full-on leprechaun race in the game, along with some other things that are not really related. Well, there's like pixies, I think, there's probably some pixies in the Smash Up deck too, right? They're like tricky little buzzing around, causing nonsense kind of thing, maybe.
Not in the Tricksters.
Oh, okay. So if you're not familiar with Small World at all, at the very heart of it, it's an area control game. But the unique thing or cool thing about it is it does come with, in the base game and several expansions, all of these different races and then all of these different abilities. And when you set up the game, there's a bunch of them out to sort of draft from, I think 6 maybe, and it's random each time. So you're going to always pair this type of creature with this ability. And so there's, greedy orcs, right? And, humble, warriors or something like that. And so leprechauns are one of these new races.
Leprechauns.
The leprechauns, no, that didn't take very long. That was less than 5 minutes before a crappy Irish accent.
I've been holding back, but they're going to come out. The more I drink, the more I just don't care how bad my accent is.
Yeah.
It's St. Patrick's.
So in this particular race of the leprechauns in Small World, their special ability is that I think at the end of the turn or somewhere during the turn, you can put a pot of gold out on all the areas that you currently are in. And then on the following turn, you can collect them all or bring them all back off the board, I should say, and collect coins for them. So they really just give you more money, which is kind of thematic, right? With the whole leprechaun persona. And you're gonna use those coins. So there's that. That's pretty much the extent of my knowledge with that particular race. I don't even know if I've ever actually played them. But it is a cool game. If you've never seen it before, check it out. There's so many expansions that you're bound to find something that you like.
Yeah, it's a great game. It's very popular. It's also, I feel like, similar to Settlers of Catan. It's too popular and it's too old that everybody's already played with, that people are kind of over it at a certain point. And I get that, because if you've played it that much, you could totally be over it.
Yeah.
I haven't played it that much. I own Underground and I own the regular Small World, and I still don't play it that much, but it's one of the only area control games that I have.
We're okay.
Like,
Yeah.
it's just, and at this point, it's going to be, we'll have to reread the rules. I don't remember them being that difficult. It should be pretty simple. And
Yeah. So with that being said,
our new game shelf, and it's out. It's not tucked into the recesses of the closet.
Nice.
Now it's going to hit the table more often.
Nice. Even Villainous got out of the closet of shame there too.
Everything's out except for the Fireball Island from like the 80s, which takes this. Yeah. And all my Hero Clicks and Dice Masters, those are still in the closet.
So that's my first pick here, going with the whole Leprechaun theme. But Eric, you've got a pick that is based a little more on the geographic location, right?
That is almost correct.
Oh, okay.
So the next game that I want to talk about is called Isle of Skye, which is in Scotland. But it's like this close on a map to Ireland. So on one of my maps, right? If you live in Ireland, it might be, pretty far away.
And if you live in Ireland, you might not want to be compared to Scotland.
Oh, definitely not. But I don't know why. I don't live there. I don't know if they still fight all the time because of the orange and the green. This is just the music that I listen to and the stories that I'm told. Anyway, I play this game. We pretend it's an Irish game, right? Because I'm Irish, I'm Scottish, and I take it all as, I have this part of Europe in my blood that has the coolest accent, right? I don't have any Australian, but I got Irish and Scottish. So I got the good stuff. And so we play the game and we pretend it's in Ireland, and some of the names are McKinnon and McLeod. And, so every time I whoever Melissa picks, I like to say things like, "Screw you, McLeod." And I feel like I've seen that somewhere, and I don't know where it's from, but I have, especially with the name McLeod too. So it's great. I love it when she decides she wants to be McLeod, because then I can say that all the time.
I'm surprised she hasn't caught on yet and stopped picking McLeod.
She does it for me. McGinnis, McKinnon, McNichol. They're all names that you can do it. I don't know if it's Irish accent or a Scottish accent, and for me, they start to blend together the more I use them. But anyway, the game itself is it's an auction bidding game. So you get a couple of 3 tiles behind your little screen, and you get to take one, trash it, and then the other 2 you have to set prices for. And then you're going to show everybody your tiles, and they're going to buy tiles. So whoever's the first player might buy a tile from you, then the next player might buy a tile from this person. Now, we've only played this 2-player, so it's always I'm buying from her, she's buying from me. And in a 2-player game, there is a very real possibility that one person can price both of their tiles in a way so that when the other person prices their tile, now I don't know how much money you have, and you don't know how much money I have.
Okay.
But I could do something where you can't afford to buy either one of my tiles.
Oh.
And so that means on my turn, as long as I'm prepared to pay with them or pay the money for these tiles, I buy one of your tiles. You go, you can't. And then on my turn, I buy the tiles in front of me, and she buys the 1 tile. So I could get 3 tiles on a turn, and she only gets 1.
So is there a possibility that you can eventually buy back a tile that you got stolen from you or bought from you?
I don't believe there's a way to steal tiles.
No. I mean buy, not steal. Buy.
No, once it's your turn and you buy a tile, that tile's yours.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. There's no fancy stuff or anything like that. You buy the tile, that's your tile. But you get to buy 1 tile from somebody else, and then if there's something left in front of you, which I think only affects like a 3 or 4 player or 5-player game, if there's then you have to pay whatever you priced it at. If you're like, I'm going to put all my money and make this 1 tile 25 gold. Somebody's like, well, I'm not paying for that. You have to pay for that.
Oh, okay.
So you need to be prepared to spend 25 gold on this 1 tile. But in a 2-player game, usually on each turn, you're buying a tile from yourself. the other player is buying a tile and buying a tile for. So every turn, both of you are getting 2 tiles, but you could get 3.
Okay.
You could get 1. I know I've gone on and on about this, but it's in a 2-player game. It's vital information to know that this can happen.
Right.
Then you take your tiles, you put them out like it's Carcassonne, and then you have each game has different variable scoring. Each game you get to choose 1 or 4 of maybe like a dozen different scoring rules.
Okay.
So put all 4 of them out. So in scoring round 1, you score for both A and B. So whatever A is and whatever B is, that's what you're going to score points for. Round 2, you're going to score for C and D, something like that.
That's like cartographers.
Yeah, it's exactly like cartographers.
Cool.
Well, I don't know what that scoring system is called, so I did a terrible job explaining it.
I don't know if it's called anything, but I understood it now that you said the A and B and C thing. So cool. I've never played this. I don't know it gives me a little anxiety, the idea of the games where you have to set prices for stuff or bid on stuff. It's towards the lower tier or lower end of games that I like.
I get it, and we don't have a lot of games that do this, but we have this one, and we have to play it, right? Because it's one of our only St. Patrick's Day games to play, and clearly we love playing holiday stuff, so we have to play them. So we play it every year, once a year at least, and it's fine. It's Melissa and I don't like games that are real competitive and take that and stuff like that. And auction bidding doesn't really work in a 2-player game, but it works in this one, and it's not bad unless you're not good at it, and then you might just hate it.
And that's my fear. I feel like I would make such a dumb mistake that I would feel embarrassed afterwards, and then sour because I lost part of the game. So I have this, this foreseen of a negative experience in those types of things. It's the exact reason why I was kind of turned off from the idea of the game Mad King Ludwig, the Castles of Mad King Ludwig. Okay. It was for that same like kind of scaling what each thing costs. Like each round somebody picked the prices and stuff. I don't know. Just gives me a little anxiety. So not my cup of tea, but I would give it a shot with you guys for sure. All right, so on to something that is my cup of tea in my comfort zone here, and that is Ticket to Ride. Fantastic game. And this specifically is the, I think, 5th expansion or map, volume 5, whatever, which is double-sided. One side is Pennsylvania, but the other side is United Kingdom. And that's got England and Scotland and Ireland and I think maybe Wales. I think there's 4 different countries. But anyway, this is a change from the original, but it adds this sort of technology tree acquisition thing in the game. So like when you start the game in this one, you can only claim routes that are 1 or 2 spaces long, and you are confined to just England. So there are ferries that lead to these other islands, but you can't use them right away. Throughout the game, you can use your wild cards, your locomotives, to sort of, I guess, upgrade these technologies and then get that, extra thing to do. A lot of them let you go to the other ones. A lot of them let you use ferries. And then there's ones that say, okay, now you can claim a 3 route. Now you can claim a 4 route. So it's an interesting twist. I think it's one of, out of the expansions that I've played or variations, I think it changes up the game kind of the most, right? Because the ferries thing is in Europe and a couple other ones and things like that. So it changes the strategy a little bit. I like it. It's different. Have you played this one?
I have. We have this one, and we got really excited to play it maybe about a month ago, and because it's St. Patrick's Day soon, right? So we got it out. We got it all set up. We looked at it. We're like, oh yeah, it's got all this technology stuff. It's not just a regular game of Ticket to Ride set near Ireland. There's all these other rules to learn. And the other expansion is the Pennsylvania map, and I live in Pennsylvania, and so we put it all back in a box and we played something else. I think it's a safe bet to say that we probably played Marvel Champions, And,
Nice.
and I really like Ticket to Ride, and you know how much I want to play, Irish and themed games around now. But it was either too late at night or we're just too exhausted to have to learn all these rules and everything. And we're like, ugh.
Yeah, it's most of the Ticket to Ride things have a very slight change where it's like, a couple of sentences in the rule book that really just, other than that, is the same as the base game. This one has a lot more to it because all the technologies are different.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a little more involved. But like all Ticket to Ride maps, looks cool out on the table. It's just fun to have a different thing to look at. And it's always fun to play with little plastic trains. So
it makes me wish that you could play with just plain old vanilla rules and not have to play with all these other things.
Well, I mean, you probably could, right?
I guess. I don't know.
I think you could just play the map with your regular Ticket to Ride base cards. I don't see any issue with that.
I'd have to look that up and see if there's anything official from Days of Wonder, right?
Yeah. All right. So that's my second pick. Eric, what is your second and last game today?
So my final pick is definitely my most thematic game for St. Patrick's Day. I love the game. It's very fun. It's for kids. It's not a very complex game. It's not heavy or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's called Corrigans, and it's you play as leprechauns, and there's animals that you can ride from one area to another area, and when you get to a new area, you pick up all these little tokens that are on that spot on the board, and they could be gold, they could be other animals, and you get to decide which one you want to pick. And then at the end of a round, you reach into a bag and you take out a wooden disc, which is in one of the 7 colors of the rainbow.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually, you're going to pick out the 7th color. And when that happens, that's it. The game is over. You figure out based on the 7 colors, and each one has 2 colors. So, right,
because the board is like a grid, right? It's like a 7x7 grid.
Right. Each color has 2 discs. Right. So there's maybe a blue going horizontal, and then that same blue, there's a vertical one. And so once you get the first blue, you put it out, and then you put the second blue, and then you're trying to figure out where the pot of gold is. So at the end of the game, whatever spot on the board the pot of gold is in, you have all the animals that you've amassed throughout the game, and you can use them all to try and get both of your leprechauns back to the pot of gold. If you did, you get, I don't know, like 15 points. And if you don't, you get less points or no points. And then whoever wins is the player with the most points. And it's fun. It's got a really cool, and I'll get a picture of this, a really cool little pot of gold.
Yeah.
It's only out on the board for 5 minutes. But it's really nice. It's got a cool insert. You play the leprechaun minis are really cool. They're different colors. They're in each one's a pair, and I think they're all unique.
Yeah, I think they're all different poses, right?
Yeah. And they're ripe for painting. I'm not going to paint them. I would love to. It's just not going to happen. Maybe
that's a hobby for another year.
She's only 19 months though. So that's not happening for a long time.
Yeah, this game looks really cool out on the table. I've only played it once with you and Melissa, and the first go round of it was we messed up royally with the rules. You're supposed to pull out those colored discs at the end of a round, not after every player's turn, but because you and Melissa had only the 2 of you had played the game up to that point, it just seemed like it was after each person's turn because it was so fast, right, with 2 people back and forth. So it was an understandable mistake, but the game was over in like 10 minutes anyway. So it was almost like no harm, no foul because we spent like 90 minutes playing the game and found out we played it wrong. Played it again, really enjoyed it. I love a game with a grid system. That's cool to look at.
Yeah, and I love a game that has cute little animals.
There you go.
And this has a few of them. Now, I do have to say that the rule book for this game is not great, but when we played that incorrectly, that was human error.
Understandable.
Yeah, that happens.
Maybe it was a leprechaun just messing with you a little bit.
It could have been. Those cheeky bastards.
So are you going to, what's your plan for this St. Patrick's Day with Zoe or with Melissa? Anything specifically going on?
Yeah, so I already took the day off of work.
Okay.
Because it's St. Patrick's Day. And so I get to, wake up with her and, and be around all day and not have to leave for work at, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And so we got some food we're going to make. She's not old enough to really understand anything. Because what I used to do with Melissa is I would, on occasion, hide something or like leave her like these little notes. And as she would go to work, I would put like some of these like leprechaun coins in like pockets and stuff, and like and maybe make like a little treasure map or something as where he's been, and then
Nice.
and get her a gift and hide it somewhere, and and do something. And so I can't really do that yet with Zoe because she's 19 months old. She's gonna find the leprechaun and she's gonna, I don't know, put him in her mouth.
Yep, that's what toddlers do.
That's what they do.
All right, folks, that's going to wrap it up here for another edition of the Board Game Holiday Spotlight. This has been our St. Patrick's Day episode. I can't believe that's a sentence that I can now say out loud. But thank you for tuning in. If you want to see more of these Board Game Holiday Spotlights, we've got a whole bunch of them now, and you can see them all on BoardGameDads.com. Check that out for sure. That's it for us tonight. Thanks for watching.
And have a happy St. Patrick's Day.